The eastern side of the United States is well known for having an abundance of great amusement parks. There's Disney and Universal, there's Busch Gardens Tampa, Carowinds, Busch Gardens Williamsburg, Kings Dominion, Six Flags Great Adventure, Six Flags New England, and so much more. Among all these parks, there was one small park located in the small state of Rhode Island, and this park was the second oldest park in the US before it shut down. Good afternoon, this is North Star Coasters, and welcome to the third episode of Nothing But a Memory. So grab a chair, kick back, relax, as we dive in to the history of Rocky Point Amusement Park. This park's history dates back all the way into the early 1840s. A sea captain named William Winslow let his passengers off his ship to enjoy a Sunday afternoon on a peninsula called Rocky Point. In 1847, the captain purchased land on Rocky Point, and he quickly began building rides and attractions for his visitors. Soon, Rocky Point became a destination for families of Rhode Island and also throughout the entirety of New England. After William Winslow died, Colonel Harrington took charge of the park and began filling it with more rides and attractions, making the park even more popular. However, it wasn't all good times for this park. In 1883, a fire struck Rocky Point and burned away many of the attractions, including the park's hotel. Despite this, Colonel Harrington moved on and rebuilt the park, and in 1918, it was reopened as Rocky Point, dubbed as New England's most beautiful amusement park. Rocky Point came back and was arguably more popular than it was when it first started out. But this didn't last long because more hard times were coming for this park, this time on a much bigger scale. In August of 1929, the stock market crashed, resulting in the Great Depression. During this time, the park was still operating, but they did see a huge decline in attendance because people couldn't afford to travel. The park did still add attractions, but at a much slower pace than before. Even though the park was doing okay during the Great Depression, there was more trouble coming. On September 21st, 1938, a hurricane hit the north coast of New England, killing over 600 people and damaging 8,000 homes and many boats. The storm cost the park an estimated $300 million, which the park couldn't pay for, so the park closed once again. But it wouldn't be closed for long. In 1948, Rocky Point Amusement Park began to get rebuilt and reopened to the public better than ever. The park's reopening was a huge success, and in 1948 alone, the park set record attendance. When the park reopened, there was much more attractions that guests could enjoy. There was a brand new log flume, a tilt-a-whirl ride, a scrambler ride, Enterprise, bumper carts, Ferris wheel. Anything you can imagine at a typical amusement park back in that day, it was there. The park was booming in both attendance and popularity. Rocky Point, within a few years, became one of the most visited parks in the New England area. As the park grew, so did their attraction lineup. The park's first new roller coaster came in the year 1958, and it was Wildcat, which was a typical Wild Mouse ride. Their next roller coaster came in 1984, and that was Cyclone, which was a roller coaster made by the German manufacturer Schwarzkopf. This roller coaster took guests up 44 feet and navigated a series of dips and turns at speeds of up to 50 miles per hour. Despite this roller coaster being a popular clone around other parks in the US, this was a crowd favorite. The next roller coaster at this park also came in 1984, and that was Corkscrew. This roller coaster was manufactured by American company Aerodynamics. This ride took guests up 70 feet off the ground and dropped them at 45 miles per hour through a series of inversions, first a vertical loop and 2 back-to-back corkscrews, a total of 3 inversions. This roller coaster was arguably the best coaster in the entire park. The park also added more thrill rides to the lineup. In 1988, the park added the Free Fall. This was a free-fall attraction manufactured by Swiss manufacturer Intamin. This ride actually came from Six Flags Great America. Back then, it was called The Edge, and it caused an accident in 1984. So, Rocky Point bought the attraction, repaired it, and opened it up for the 1988 season. This ride took guests up 12 stories before dropping them at speeds of 55 miles per hour. This attraction was definitely one of the most aggressive thrill rides Rocky Point had to offer. Almost all the attractions Rocky Point added to their park was a hit with the public. However, this wouldn't last long because there was more trouble coming towards Rocky Point. Rocky Point had come to the 1990s, and at that point, it was the second oldest park in the US, the first one being Lake Compounce in Connecticut. The first wave of trouble came on November 7th, 1994. On that day, the state of Rhode Island suspended Rocky Point's permit to sell concessions for lack to pay back taxes. However, the permit was reinstated after a few days, under the condition that Rocky Point pay its taxes by December 1st of that year. December 1st came, and Rocky Point failed to pay its taxes. A day later, on December 2nd, 1994, Rocky Point filed for bankruptcy. Locals of the area hope that Rocky Point will return for the next season. Rocky Point did open for a little bit during 1995, but it was only for a few days. The park was permanently closing. The following year, on April 16th, Rocky Point would auction off the park's rides. The leftover rides that did not sell were simply left to rot with the rest of the park. The park would sit abandoned for many years. Plans came up in 2007 for the city of Warwick to redevelop the park into a state park. The plan was greenlit, and that same year, most of the rides and attractions that were sitting there abandoned were torn down and cleared. Only a few remnants remain at the park. There is remnants of the Skyliner ride, and the arch from the amusement park can still be seen in the state park today. As for roller coasters, the Corkscrew was relocated to Wild Waves Park in Washington State. It was relocated, repainted, and renamed Wild Thing, and you can still ride this coaster today. Looking back at this park, it really is sad to see it go. After all, this park had been through a lot. It survived a fire, it survived the Great Depression, it survived a hurricane, it survived World War II, and the park had so much history, and to see it go like this is just plain sad. Even though this park is gone, memories still live on for the people who got to experience it. So if you ever find yourself at Rocky Point State Park, you can now know that on this same plot of land, roller coasters and thrill rides used to dominate the skyline. Friends and family from generations before came here to have a great time and make great memories. Rocky Point Amusement Park may be gone, but the memories will never die.
Come with your family, come with your friends. That's the Rocky Point tradition.